Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Snort, snort, snort.
Cody, drip.
Snort, snort.
I got the drip. Go.
Yesterday was basically day one of the push to finish RPGs. How did it go? Well, on the first stream of Baldur's Gate 3, we finished the House of Hope plotline, and it definitely was funny, and let me explain. So at the end of the House of Hope plotline, after doing all this stuff in the House of Hope, stealing items you need for the plot and rescuing a person who's in a prison, you have a big epic boss fight. And for a lot of people, they say, oh, this is one of the boss fights. That's one of the big epic ones of the game that's built up and everyone hypes and everyone wants to see this boss fight in everyone's playthrough to see how they handle it. Okay? So, without tons of spoiling, okay? Basically, there's a big showdown at the end of House of Hope, and this epic song starts playing. One of the characters actually is singing lyrics in the song. So you're like, you know, the game devs intended for this to be one of the big fights of the game. Now, the thing is, you don't have to do it. You can actually completely ignore this fight and never do it. You don't ever have to go to the House of Hope. So you could just continue on with the main plot line and never have seen this. But I feel like, hey, if you're going to be doing this game, and you're going to be doing it justice, you want to do the more important, interesting fights, and this is one of them, right? So, we went through with it, and how did it go? Well, it took almost an hour, okay? And the reason being, this fight is not just a boss fight. There's a boss, there's a mechanic where the boss is protected by 4 columns in the room. You have to destroy the 4 columns before you can truly hurt the boss. By the way, the columns are resistant to most damage. So essentially, it's very frustrating because you're kind of limited. It's not a straightforward fight. And then on top of that, there's a bunch of what they call adds, which basically means additional units that are there. They're not really the boss, but they're there to cause some annoyance in the fight, and you got to handle those as well. So basically, it's a very complex fight. And I would say, when you think about all the boss fights in the game, probably one of the top 5 most complex. I don't know if it's the most complex because I haven't beaten the game yet, but it's pretty complex. So, I take my time. I'm taking some feedback from the chat, meticulously trying to figure out what to do in each situation, each turn of each character. There's a mechanic where normally I would be using what they say is radiant damage, which is supposed to be like holy magic. But in this fight, you don't want to do that because the enemies reflect it back. So if you study each enemy's description, you'll figure that out right away and not make the mistake. So I'm like, okay, so now this character shouldn't use radiant damage. They should use necrotic damage. So you see what I mean? This game, even, entirety of the game, I'm 120 hours in. There's no real way to just barrel through it. You have to kind of meticulously be paying attention to all the little details going on in each situation if you really want to succeed. But it just makes the game take a lot longer. That's why the game's 120 hours instead of, say, 60 hours, So in this fight, I'm actually doing really well, and I have this build on a certain character where they throw a spear, and this spear has a chance to knock down the enemy. Well, recently I hit max level in the game, and one of the final perks that I got makes this a super high chance to knock down. So I just start throwing this spear around, and it's knocking down the boss every turn. Literally every turn. And when you get knocked down, you lose your turn. You have to get back up, and that's your turn. So the boss basically keeps getting tripped and slipped like a comedy pratfall situation, like you're watching the Three Stooges or Abbott and Costello or something. And I proceed to just destroy it. Now, it took a while because, again, you have to meticulously play this game. You can't just push through it and barrel through it. You have to make sure you're doing everything in the right order and you're not making mistakes like don't use any radiant damage. It'll reflect back at you and stuff like that. But it took about an hour, but I beat it. But I'm going to be honest, during the fight, I did complain. I'm like, this takes forever. And I understand people who like this, but for me, this is taking too long. My stream is a 3-hour gameplay stream. In that 3 hours, I want to do more than one fight. You understand? I don't want the whole stream to be, okay, I beat one boss. That's ridiculous. I want to be able to make good progress every time I play the game. And this game is made so meticulously and drawn out, it's very hard to ever say I made progress. It's like a slow trickle game. And so, I'm an hour into this boss fight. I'm like, is this ever going to end? You can see I'm whooping his ass, right? He's never going to have a chance to beat me. So why do I have to take so long to beat him? Why does the game make it so tedious? Anyway, so I do beat him. And then there's like epic loot, and I'm looking at the loot, and of course you got to figure out, are you going to use the loot or not? And I do all that. And then finally, for the last hour of the stream, I was able to go in another direction. We got ambushed, and then we went to a new dungeon, and that's what the next stream will be, a new dungeon against a vampire kind of deal, almost like Castlevania. Okay? In fact, we already fought werewolves and stuff, which was kind of neat, I'll be honest. So anyway, stream went well, okay? I basically handed one of the epic bosses of the game his own ass in a paper bag. He had no chance of doing anything to me. It was pretty embarrassing. And so, what's the reaction of the internet? Well, it's a mixed reaction. The people who were there live seem to enjoy it, all right? The people who watched on demand, some are liking it, and some are literally, I'm not kidding you, complaining. Oh, you make this game so boring with the way you play it. What? I make the game boring with the way I play it. One person actually complained. Here's what they said. You kept looking at your abilities to see what they do. Why don't you play the game faster? I'm not kidding. That was a comment on the video. I was like, I'm in a turn-based strategy RPG. You're complaining that I'm looking at my abilities to see what they do. Yeah. And then, you know, someone's like, oh, well, basically, you know, when I played it, I took half as long as you. No, I died on the first try, but on my second retry, I was able to do it. It's like, wait a minute. So did you read what you just fucking posted? You lost on the first try because you rushed into the fight unprepared. You weren't looking at the descriptions. You weren't figuring it out. And then you had to play it a second time to beat it. So what's your complaint? I said, what the fuck? I thought that's how these games were designed, right? It drives me nuts. But that's what I mean. Like, it seems like no matter how I play a game or what I do, I'm always in the wrong. If I had rushed into that fight and I wasn't meticulous and I was just dying, losing like nonstop, people would be like, wow, he's like the worst player ever. He doesn't pay any attention. He's in an RPG. He played for 120 hours. He still doesn't pay attention to anything, and that's why he sucks. So then it's the opposite. I completely destroyed the boss because I actually played well, and then I get told, oh, you still did it wrong. This was terrible, you know. Anyway, just expect a lot more of that moving forward because that's how people are on the internet towards me. No matter what I do, I'm always bad, right? Anyway, so we did make good progress yesterday, but again, it's funny because they're like, okay, you've beat one of the major quest lines to end the game. What's next? Okay, we're going to do the Vampire Castle. What's after that? Well, then you got to do the Shadowheart quest line. What's after that? Oh, then there's the dungeon underground for Will's quest line with the dragon. Okay, what's after that? Oh, you have to go fight the Ball followers and free Lae'zel. Okay, what's after that? Then you have to do the quest line for the Githyanki to free the Githyanki prince. Okay, what's after that? It's like, wait, what? I thought we're at the end of the game. I thought this is the end of the game. And if each one of those quests takes a stream, how fucking long is it going to take for me to beat this game? This is insane at this part. Like, it's like, why did they backload the game with so much content? I just don't understand it. You saved all these quests for the end of the game when you should be in the home stretch and feeling like you're barreling towards progress and your end. Instead, it's like you're meandering around. And I'm going to be honest, I think this kills the pacing of the game. Most people by this point would want to be seeing the resolution of everything and get ready for an ending. And instead, it's just kind of like staying and just fucking bouncing around. And to be honest, with all of that, it makes me want to skip content. I'm just being honest. Like, it does. It makes me want to skip content that people are telling me I can skip. Like, for example, I guess for the resolution of the Baldur's Gate City plotline where the city is taken over by Gortash, okay? There's different ways to go about it. And if I just, like, straightforward go for him, it saves time, but it's much harder because those robots are still active, and so you have to fight the robots and him, or you could just disable the robots, but that takes a lot of extra work. So I might just fucking seriously just say fuck it and just go for him because I don't want to be playing this for another 20 extra hours to do it in that way. I want this game to be over. I'm not saying I don't like the game and I just want it to be over because I hate it. I just want the I'm exhausted. I think that's the best way to explain it. I'm feeling exhausted. I've been playing this game since fucking December. We're 120 hours in, and how the hell is the end not in sight yet? It drives me nuts. I want to play other games, and I can't fucking play other games until I finish this insano long game. What is going on with this game? Okay? So, yeah, we'll see what happens. We're going to continue with this, but yeah, I mean, it's people are, oh, when are you going to finish that game? I seriously don't fucking know. Like, if we finish the Vampire Castle on Monday, and then let's say on Tuesday we do the Shadowheart quest, and maybe we do the Will quest, and then on Wednesday maybe we do the Ball Followers quest, right? Great. We're like not even halfway into the end game stuff yet. Like, there's still 10 more missions to do. It's like, you know, like, Green Mega Man says, current pacing, you're 10 daytime streams away, then fuck that. I'm seriously going to skip stuff. Really, I mean it. Like, I'm just going to skip stuff. This is driving me insanely nuts. I just want to see the end so I can play other games. On Friday, there's a new fucking game. That game is going to have to wait because I'm still playing Baldur's Gate 3. It's stupid at this point. Really, like, that's the best way to describe it. This is just stupid. All right? So, yeah, no, I'm not doing 15 to 20 more streams. We're beating this game within a couple of weeks, one way or another. You know, really. And the thing is, I at least want to see kind of the resolution for your followers, because that's kind of important. You know, they've been along the journey. They all had their own private missions or whatever. You want to see those end. But I'm probably just going to skip any other side shit that I come across at this point. I don't see the point of doing it, right? So, anyway, yeah, let's keep going. And again, thanks to those who are still with me for that playthrough. You know, apologies for my frustration, but you know, this is just me as a honest person being honest with you. It's frustrating, you know, as an outsider to that style of game. It's just too much of a commitment. It is. Like, this is why I was so apprehensive about playing the game to begin with, because everyone warned me that it was going to be this much of an investment and commitment. And it's like, yeah, but I'm a variety streamer. This is going to kill the channel. And it has. Like, take a look at the last 2 months where all views and engagement are down because people don't come around for Baldur's Gate. It's the same few people, which is fine. You know, I enjoy having 200, 250 people here for it, but that's not going to support my whole channel forever. You know what I'm saying? We've got to get through this. All right. So anyway,
I got the drip going. 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 It's like a faucet that's dripping. You can't make it stop. So what do you want me to do? Have a mute button that every second I'm tapping the mute button just in case I'm gonna have to clear? Like, this is what I mean. These dumb kids. This is what it is. It's dumb kids.